Hey, welcome to the Nick and Nick podcast. This podcast is powered by Royalty Roofing and Renovations. Crown your home and your commercial property with Royalty. Looking forward to our special guest today. Before we get to him, though, I want to introduce the topic. This podcast is designed to help people kind of guide their personal life and their business life with principles, basic truths that we have used and applied to help, govern our lives over the years. So we just wanted to share them with you. And today we'll be introducing our special guest, Kylan Crawford. He's a pastor. He's the money master. He's the author. He's the finisher. He's all that in a bag of chips. No, but he's a good friend of ours. And I just want to say thanks for being here today. Thanks for coming. We go way back. I have some special feelings towards you and your wife and your family because you guys actually took our kids underneath your wings while you were the youth pastor.
Right.
Helped them guide themselves through the, some tough seasons in their life, those high school years. But thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself, what you're doing right now, and then we'll kind of get into the topic that we want to cover today. Before we get into that is we want to talk about, navigating the nuances of our assignment or our career path. I've been around the block, as you know, kind of done a few things, learned a lot, fallen down, getting back up, failed, and kept trucking. In other words, took a licking and kept on ticking. You've been around the block, and you're still going around the block. And now it seems like you've almost come full circle. So we want to kind of pick your brain a little bit about how to navigate, career path and, how to go from where you are. Because there's probably a lot of people, realistically, there's probably a lot of people listening that are stuck.
That's true.
They're trying to get out of where they're at and trying to get to where they're supposed to be. They just don't know how to get there.
Right.
I know that was my path. So share with us a little bit about your evolution as it relates to, your career path, because I know you're a father, just like I am. You're a husband. You're a business owner. You're a multifaceted guy. Just kind of share with our our people that are tuned in, your evolution, the evolution of your life.
So I look at it this way. I'm not responsible for how I get there, but I am responsible for what I am doing in the moment.
Your present time.
Right. So what I'm doing right now in front of me is what I'm responsible for. So through life, you mentioned, Nick, like I've done a lot of different things. Early in my career, I started out in corporate arena. I went to school for civil engineering and project management.
Right?
You're right. And I ended up getting a project management degree after that. And then I was doing a lot of stuff in real estate and in the corporate sector because I didn't want to do engineering by getting my PE license.
Okay.
So by product of, doing what was presented in front of me and using the skills that I learned in college, it kind of evolved into Kylan overseeing real estate and then like construction projects for rail, and things started evolving, right? So from there, as around the time my wife and I got married, I've had this like feeling like I wanted to, I just felt like there was a need for young people to have a relevant example. So at the church I was at, they were looking for a youth pastor, and I just felt this draw and this pull to be that person. And it was interesting because what most people don't know about me is that among all the things you mentioned, I'm also a drummer, right?
Hey.
I've been a drummer. That's probably the first thing I really learned and kind of honed the skill in.
And you teach Mason how to drum.
Right.
You were his instructor.
Right. And he became our drummer in a youth band and stuff. It was crazy.
The evolution is crazy.
You're right. It's crazy. But I was a drummer at the time, and I was playing in these bands, and I was going different places. I was played in bars, to hotels, to casinos, to even on a couple cruise ships. So it was like an interesting thing, and I thought to myself, I don't want to gig and play drums. This is not something I do. So while that time was happening, like I said, I had this pull to kind of become a relevant example for young people, and that's what got me into youth pastoring. And we did that for like 10 years. And during that time, we met, people like yourself, you and your family, and many others. And a lot of people that we're still connected to today, they see me in the malls and they're like, Pastor Kylan, and they're giving me hugs and they're messaging me on Facebook or Instagram.
You're going to they're inviting you to their weddings, to their baby showers.
Yeah, it's like, I'm like, wow, this has come full circle. These kids that were kids are now adults with babies and families and husbands and wives. So from there, I just kept scaling, in my professional career. While I was doing youth pastoring, the question was asked to me, you may not know this, do you want to do this full time? And I was like, no.
Heck no. I ain't trying
No. And to be honest with you, is because I'm like, as a young man, young to a family, I was like, I'm making really good money and I have a wife. And I don't want to say no to her because I'm just doing a youth pastor thing. And people are like, well, what about the Lord? And I'm like, yeah, God was in that. Otherwise, because if you said do it, I would have done it. But I didn't feel the call to that. I was like, I'm doing great now. We took the youth ministry from like 5 or 6 kids. To by the time before we left, there was like 150 kids in the program. So
in a brand new building or a brand new built out building.
Right. We had traction and momentum and things like that. So for me, I was like, why would I do that? I'm able to maximize my time doing both anyway.
Right.
But they wanted someone there. They were like, well, they wanted someone full time, but they never really got that. I think at some point, I think Pastor Josh took over for a period of time when I stepped back because I felt like I was becoming irrelevant.
Okay.
So that was a season where I was like, I'm doing that, right? And to your point of like navigating that, I think in navigating that process, it was understanding, oh, I'm using lingo that the young people aren't using. I'm referencing movies that they're not referencing. And I'm not keeping up with all the songs and stuff.
Right.
My life is evolving, it's changing. So I'm like, how relevant can I be to them? Right? Then to share the word, yes, but relevant to what they're experiencing in today's life.
Right.
So that transitioned me out of that. I did that. I had a conversation with Dr. Martin. He was like, yep, we agree. Let's transition you out. So I did that. While I was doing that, I was getting exploded to higher levels at my professional career. Corporately.
Okay.
So I just kept doing, I mean, one of the best advice I ever got from someone was actually Dr. Martin. He says, whatever you do, just do it to the best of your ability. Whatever's in front of you, do it.
Do it as unto the Lord.
Do it as unto the Lord. So I believe by me doing that is why I've had success in so many areas. So that led me there. I ended up being, getting high up in that arena at this specific company. And then I was like, reached out to through LinkedIn to take an executive role, hire a C-suite executive role, like working for the CEO.
Is this the trucking company?
Yeah.
Okay.
Working for these guys and getting pulled to their stuff in boardrooms and talking about huge stuff, right? But while I'm doing that in the back of my mind, I'm like, do I really want to do this the rest of my life? Seriously.
I get it.
Because I'm like, my sons are growing up, things are happening, my wife is doing things, and I'm like, do I really want to do, is this really what I want? I've gotten here. Right. I've gotten to a place.
What?
I've gotten to a place that most people don't get to. It's very hard.
That's what, like when we built out the gym and we built out the chiropractic office, we got there and it was like, okay, now what? Let's go do something else. I don't want to maintain this and manage it.
Right.
I want to keep moving to the next thing.
Yes, exactly.
That's not a fault of, that's just how we're built. That's how entrepreneurs, that's how, leaders are built. They're just looking to move to the next thing, not necessarily manage the thing that they just created or built. But anyway, I didn't want to interrupt you. Keep going through that. So the trucking company.
Yeah, so I was doing that, and funny enough, one day I remember just praying, and I was like, God, just help me, just get me in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people. Like I've always been. I feel like I've always been in that little niche, and when I felt that I was getting in a place where something was off, I could shift. Yeah. So I'm like, something else is coming. Well,
and there can be, and this is how the kingdom works. I know this from being firsthand. Trust me, all this stuff that you're saying, you're like reading my bio, you're reading my notes over there. What can be dead right today can be dead wrong tomorrow.
Oh my gosh.
It's all about the timing and the season and the place and the relevance, and things are moving fast, especially when you talk about movement in the kingdom.
Oh yeah.
I was doing the right thing at the right place with the right people today, but all of a sudden the next week it wasn't right. It was wrong.
Yeah. So I ended up, funny enough, this is how it worked. 2017, I went to a dream session.
Okay.
And in this dream session, I had a dream.
This was in Vegas, right?
No, that was 2018.
Okay.
So 2017, so this is before the dream weekend in Vegas. So I had this vision, and this vision was, I was at not the last company, but the previous company. I wrote my resignation, gave it to them, and I went outside, walked down the escalator, got out into a red sports car, and drove away with my wife with the top off, and we were just laughing, driving the street, having a good old time.
This is a dream?
This is a dream I had during the session. So they walked us through this process of, trying to help us find our desire. And I was like, okay. And I had this dream, and I was like, wow, this would be amazing. A couple weeks later, a friend of mine said, it would be really amazing? It'd be really amazing if we had total control over our time and our day, and then we could devote our time to do things that we really want to do.
Sure.
And he's
not
like,
have to do.
All right. He's like, what would you do? And I said, honestly, I think I'd be working at church, helping them reach more people and do stuff like that. Yeah. Just off the cuff. Right? Not thinking anything about it.
Right.
Left it alone. That goes away. And that's just in the back of my mind.
Right. It's funny. It's funny how that works. God's desire for us is to give us the desires of our heart.
Right.
And he knows what those desires are.
Yes,
He's not trying to keep those desires from us.
No.
He's trying to get them to us, get them through us, and get them out of us.
Right.
Now we just need to participate in the process.
Yeah, just submit to the process, which is not always easy.
No.
Right? So that brings me to this point. So the hard process is this. So the company, so I got to that C-suite executive level, they loved me. They were like, man, you're amazing. This is great. I'm like, wow, these people love me. I have opportunity here. There's more growth. My boss, the CEO, was actually retiring. The new CEO was coming in place. You know, things were happening, shifts were happening. So I'm like, ooh, well, something shifted in their business, which required them to let go of my entire team and department.
Okay, just so happened, huh?
Just so happened to do that. And they were like so apologetic, and they were like, man, we didn't anticipate this, Kylan. We expected you to actually have to grow and hire more people and blah, 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 blah. And there were about 97 people across the entire country that were responsible.
Sliced, huh?
That they got rid of their roles.
Oh, that's a setback.
Right. And as my wife says, I think you worked yourself out of a job, which is possible because I'm that type of person. I found efficiencies, programs, things that would automate stuff. But I said, either way, I think this was coming. So I'm like, okay. They're like, here's your severance package, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, I got time to figure out what I want to do. What am I going to do? And the only thing I felt I needed to do was two things.
What were they? Number one?
Get up in the morning and pray.
Hey.
So that was the one thing I got. And then the second thing was, after you're done praying, go to the gym.
Okay.
And I'm like, this is it, I'm going to do. Okay, so I did that. Then I got an idea for expanding a company we already had. So while we were doing all these things, to your point of juggling a lot of things, I think some people might look at a person's life and go, what is happening?
It looks like a bit of a schizophrenic career path.
Right, you're like, what are you doing?
I've been there. I remember when I was at the church and they were calling me Dr. Nick, and when I was at the chiropractic office, they would call me Pastor Nick. So it's like, who's
going on here? And I came to this conclusion. I was like, I'm dealing with this. I'm like, okay, what it really comes down to is the three things. It's discovering your purpose, it's living out your purpose, right? And then it's walking in your purpose, which are different, right? So discovery is more about you understanding what it is you can do.
Right, that's your why, right?
Right, yeah. Why am I doing this? What
why
can I do?
am I here?
Right. Where am I going? That kind of thing. And then you got to...
Now that's easier said than done to figure that out.
Well, yeah.
I'm still figuring it out.
I think that process is cyclical. It never stops because as you grow and evolve, you'll go through these three things. You'll discover more about yourself. Right. And then you'll learn that, okay, I'm going to live this thing out, meaning now I'm seeking out opportunities or looking for opportunities that help coincide with my skills and gifts.
Absolutely.
Right? And then once you get past that point, you start finding out in different places where you just naturally are walking in your purpose. Yes. Because you know where it is you're doing, where you're trying to go, and what you're looking for. And now you're not trying to apply it to different things you're doing, but you're just naturally doing it because that's what you do. Right. Right? So it's that cycle that you go through. So I figured that cycle out. I was like, okay, this is what I'm doing. So when I ended up getting, they laid us off. I'm trying to report down and tell these people, and they had to report down and tell these people, and it was just a whole gamut of thing. People are crying, people are upset, and I completely understand. But I had total and complete peace because I've never been one to live beyond my means, and I'm not a flashy person. Right. You're the money master, though, right? That's one of the businesses that we... Talk to us about the money master, because I know you did that here. Yes. And there are a lot of people that have benefited, that have reaped the benefits of that, and it's showing the fruit in their life is... Yeah, so that business idea was, I was already doing Money Master seminars. We were doing them webinars. We were doing stuff online. I had actually been invited to go to several different states and do these seminars. So things were happening. I just hadn't had a lot of time to put into it. Yeah. So with the freedom of this opportunity, it's just like, you could do some more, Kylan. But the expansion of that came through Kylan. In my mind, I was like, with all the experience I have from corporate arena, from being the individual contributor to being a team contributor, to being a team leader, to being a leader of a department, to being a leader over departments and over, almost 100 people. Mm-hmm. I have skills that can help corporations and companies get to when they're trying to scale. Because I've not only scaled in my life, personally and privately, with my own finances, but scaled in corporate sectors. And so I'm like, okay, how do I... Your position. My position. Right. So I realized, I'm like, oh, I can help people scale. So what it came to is, I'm bringing it back to that story of 2017, the dream, and then 2018, Dream Weekend you mentioned. I was mentoring somebody, and he says, you know what? He said something, and he says, you need to figure out like 3 things that like really talk about who you are. I'm mentoring him, but he says this. He says, because you just do these things so well. And I said, well, what would you call them? He says, you're really good about helping me with my faith.
Faith.
Helping me with my faith. I said, okay, cool, I can see that. And he says, you're really good. He says, you're really family oriented, which makes sense. Grew up in a broken home, single parent home, brilliant mother, brilliant family, but not the perfect ideal design for what people call success, right?
Right.
But then he says, but where I find you really excel at is you went from impoverished kid on welfare, lived in a car for a period of time, to this person that has built some substantial financial lifestyle for him and his family. So what? He said, that's why I think money's a thing. So when I broke it down, I was like, oh, you're saying faith, family, and finance.
There you go.
So when anybody asks me, what do you do? I help people build their best life through faith, family, and finance.
Okay.
So when it comes to the schizophrenic, like why are you doing that?
All the pieces are coming together.
All the pieces come together. It's
From the outside looking in, it looks like you don't know what you're doing.
Right.
You've been this. Hold on, you're here, then you're there, then you're all over the place.
What are you doing? It's like, and what it really comes down to is I've always done things, with the exception of drums. That's the only exception, but that's just because something I just like, just because it's something I like. I've always done things to help people build their best lives through faith, family, and finances. So I was youth pastor. I was doing it as a corporate leader and corporate executive. I do it as an entrepreneur, someone that works for himself, and then also someone that works for a church that is an associate pastor at a church. So I'm constantly fulfilling that purpose and desire wherever I go. So when it's something that allows me to do that, I'll do it. With the exception of when I find myself in a place where I'm like, I can only do 1 or 2 of them, I don't necessarily want to do it.
Right. Last week we talked about the principle, who I am determines how well what I do works. It's not so much about what I do, because what I do I know works, but it's who I am that determines how well it works.
Yeah.
So who am I?
Yeah.
I'm this sum total of my experiences.
Choices.
Yep, choices, my past, all this stuff that you've been putting together, and the people, the places, the problems that you've solved, that I've exposed myself to.
Yeah.
I'm a sum total of my experiences and my exposure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the I think one of the most powerful things people can understand is the choices that they have made, the decisions that they have made have brought them to this point. And it's not to slap you down on the head and say, that's why you're sucking right now, or that's why you're struggling. It's just to say that you have control over what's coming in the future by what decisions you make today.
Absolutely.
But whatever decisions you make today, you have total control over what's going to happen in your future by how you maneuver, how you move through those situations, what decisions you make now.
I don't know how many times I've used this phrase, I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I know what I'm doing.
Sure.
I know the direction that I'm heading. I just wish I wasn't using a compass to get there. All the compass does is just point you due north, right? You're heading north. It doesn't give you the nuances of a GPS. Turn here. In 2017, take this job.
Right.
In 2018, it may seem like a demotion to you, but step back and reallocate your resources and buy some real estate.
Right.
I just wish I had a GPS system. Well, we do. It's the Holy Ghost.
Right, yeah, right.
But sometimes it feels like a compass.
Yeah,
but all I know is that I'm heading in the right direction. I just don't know exactly the most efficient, effective way to get there.
Yeah, that's the funny that you say that. I think we had, I don't know what year that was, but we had bought some apartment complexes with a business partner, some apartments, and we thought this was a great deal. It's a beautiful thing. We bought these apartments like, it's going to be amazing, right?
Right.
And it was going okay for a while and stuff. And then something interesting happened. So my wife was pregnant, I think, with our youngest son. And she goes, one day we're driving, and I don't know, I think I was dropping her off at work, and I was headed to the apartment complex. And she says, I just feel like we need to sell. We need to get out of this business deal. And I'm like, wait a minute. We're making money.
Hey, we're
cash
good.
flowing. Why would we do
rolling.
that? Right.
We're balling now.
We're not quite balling with the apartment, but we're cash flowing. So we're in the positive. That's a great thing. Right. So I'm like, no, let's stay in it. She's like, Kylan, now by this time, we've been married. I don't know. Youngest son was born in 2014. So I don't know. She was like, I really feel like that's what we need to do. Why? We had been married long enough, because we got married in 2005. So I've been married long enough to her to know, if she's getting this feeling.
Oh, the governor.
I'm like, I probably need to listen.
Check engine lights going off. Ding, 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 ding.
So I just called our business partner and said, hey, look, I'm not sure what's going on, but we don't think this investment is best for us. So we're looking for you to buy us out. So they said, what would it take to buy you out of the business? So we sent them a number. They're like, cool. They took the first offer. I was like, man, did I ask for enough money?
Hold on.
Did I ask for enough money to do that? Okay, I'm definitely getting more than what we put in. So yes, we really just wanted to be out.
Right.
So we went to the attorneys. They drew up the paperwork, signed the paperwork, everything like that. Right. Not even a month later, that same apartment complex, we started hearing stuff that was going on.
Oh boy.
It was in the state of Iowa. So they were told that they had changed some rules. So now the apartment complex was now considered a commercial building.
No, residential.
So not residential.
Family.
So it's not, yeah. So I was like, what? Because the size of it. I'm like, when they make that, well, it was a law passed. I'm like, oh my gosh. So the taxes go up.
Oh.
Now, not only the taxes go up, code is changed now.
Oof.
You're not grandfathered. So now you need to have new windows. You need to have a certain level and everything. They were getting hit multiple times with things. And they were like, they got to a point where we got to get out of this thing before we lose any more money because they kept losing money.
It sounds like to me, the Lord sometimes speaks
Right.
in the voice of your wife.
Right, yeah. Listen to your wives, gentlemen. Listen to your wives.
Listen to your wife.
Right. Well, yeah, your wife, not wives.
Wife. We do know that, seasons have reasons.
Yeah.
We also wish that as we're navigating the nuances of our assignment and our career path, we wish it was linear, like the seasons, like the atmospheric seasons, where it's going to be winter, spring, summer, and fall. Winter, spring, summer, or fall. All you got to do is call, and I'll be there. Yeah, but it's not linear, though.
No, it's not.
I mean, it's non-linear.
Right.
It can feel like sometime when you're trying to navigate through this stuff, you're doing the hokey pokey, you're doing the Texas two-step, or whatever you want to do. It's one step forward, two steps back. You put your whole self in, but your wife says, get your whole self out. You do the hokey pokey, and you turn yourself around, and that's what it's all about.
Right.
So, but it's not linear.
No.
So how do we...
Well, it's not linear. So I think what it is when one of the biggest decisions you can make, it should never involve money.
Right. As the primary?
As the primary indicator. Is it going to make me money or not? When you do that, I think you paint yourself into a box.
Right.
Because if you're only going to take a job because it's going to pay you more money, you don't know what's on the other side of that.
Right.
You don't know what for every decision.
The impact, yeah.
The impact, there's a consequence that you don't know, you don't control. And you don't know what it is. It's going to be what it's going to be when you get there.
Right.
So not making decisions solely on money, but making decisions solely on, that's where you know what you desire.
What
it is what you really, really want, what's really important to you. So when I make decisions, I'm not making decisions based upon how much money I'm going to make. I'm making decisions based upon, it's going to help me build people's best lives through faith, family, and finance. Because if not, I don't want to touch it.
That's the filter you're running everything.
Everything runs through
now that you have that defined, though. But there are a lot of people that haven't been through all the stuff that we've been to and are still trying to find that filter.
Trying to figure it out.
Yes.
Yeah, I think what you have to do is you got to know what it is you really desire and want, but then two, you got to know what to say no to.
Right.
Because people say yes to all kinds of things, whether it's for a person because they respect and love them. They say yes to a lot of things because they think it's going to make a certain person happy. No, if it's not good for you and not good for what it is you're trying to accomplish, it's okay to say no.
To that desire, I think you also have to add wisdom.
Sure.
Wisdom is, from my understanding and how I've used wisdom throughout my life in making decisions and career paths, is knowing what to do when.
That's
because we know it was completely right last month, but this month it is the wrong thing for me and my house to do. So wisdom is knowing what to do when.
Right. Yeah.
Talk to us about wisdom, how you've used wisdom and desire to help navigate through these.
So with wisdom, I'm always...
And wisdom can sound like your wife as well.
Wisdom, it is my wife. I've learned. I'm like, and other times I'm like, no, that's not it.
That ain't wisdom.
That ain't it, babe. I love you, but that's not it. But wisdom really is accumulated over time. And wisdom is most people think wisdom is ethereal. It's like how do you grasp it? How do you get it? But in essence, by definition, wisdom simply you applying knowledge.
Yes.
It's the application of knowledge.
So the knowledge that you've gained from your experiences and from your exposure.
Yes. And that exposure can be self-induced exposure. It's you going and seeking out information, going to seminars, reading books, and
meeting people, making phone calls, knocking doors, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, right? It's all that stuff. So you're getting that exposure, and now you're getting more wisdom because you know how to do something, how not to approach someone, how to navigate through certain situations, and that's all information. But what most people do is they hoard the information, but they never apply it in the next situation.
Right. Well, that takes some risk.
It does. It does. It takes some risk. It takes some gonads, let's be honest, right? You gotta have a pair that actually jump out there and apply what you know to get the results you're looking for.
Talk about it.
Right?
Yeah.
Because if you don't, then it's like, so if you never take a risk, how do you know if you're ever gonna succeed if you never jump out there and do it and try?
Hey, trust me, I get it. Also in that, I mean, I'm sorry for singing, but
No, you're good.
when I used to teach and preach, I would sing a lot, and you're a drummer, so you're musically inclined. You gotta know when to hold them.
Right.
Know when to fold them.
Yeah.
Know when to walk away. And know when to run. You better count your. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them.
Yeah.
Know when to walk away. And know when to get out of Dodge.
Facts. Yeah.
So that's about, knowing what to do when as well.
Yeah. I think when you have defined like values and morals, that's one thing. But when you define what Kylan does well, what Kylan should be doing, what Kylan shouldn't be doing, is easy to know.
Right, with a couple solid yellow lines.
Right, you're like, ooh, this is going that direction. Yeah, I don't do that. I back out very quickly and easily because I know that. But that comes from me just taking the risk, applying the knowledge that I have, whether it's through a Bible, whether it's through a coach, a mentor, a book I've read, that type of stuff, and then applying it to the situations that I'm dealing with in my life. So what I think accumulating that knowledge is important to find text information that will allow you the ability to apply what you learn. So in whatever season you're in life, what books are out there? If you're trying to learn about money, who can you connect to about money to understand what you should do next? Right? So that you can apply that knowledge in the season that you're in to make some headway and get past a certain point in your life.
Absolutely.
So then you know when to hold them.
And when to fold them, when to walk away,
when to
run.
When
to get out of Dodge.
Right, it's like, we're getting out there, that's it.
All right, before we wrap this up, this is good, actually. I enjoy it. Talk to us a little bit about the difference between a career path and an assignment.
Oh.
An assignment and a career. I mean, are they one and the same? Are they completely different? Do they interface in some form? Are they integrated? An assignment, I know, answers two things. It's very specific. When we talk about, and we've talked about on one of the different other podcasts, is principle, purpose, vision, mission, and assignment. The assignment is at the top of the pyramid where it speaks to two things specifically. Who, it answers two things, who and where.
Sure.
So it's very pointed in terms of where am I supposed to be and with who.
Right. Yeah.
Assignment, career path, how are they the same? Are they different? To me, assignment carries a very specific and detailed.
Sure. I think careers are specific to industries.
Like a vocation.
Yes, right? So you can be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, an accountant, but that may not be your assignment.
Hey, but you're really called to, what are you called to do? Family, faith?
To help people build their best lives.
But this is what I do, but this is who I am.
Right, exactly. So I've done the corporate stuff. I've done the entrepreneur business stuff. I've done that.
I've done
real estate investment
but it ain't
stuff.
who I am.
That's not who I am. Those are things I can do.
Right.
Right. But who I am is different than that. It's the person who helps people build their best lives. So it's the careers are really separate. For me, assignment, like you're saying, is really specific to what it is you do well. It's a sum total of your skills, your gifts, and the being in the right place at the right time, doing the right thing with the right people, that convergence of that center circle, knowing that.
And it appears to be effortless. To the people from the outside looking in, you can just tell you're doing your thing. Let's just get out of his way and let him do his thing.
Exactly. So we have to be careful, I think, in understanding that career and assignment are different, that we don't try to compare ourselves to what other people are doing.
Correct.
Because what they're doing is working for them. They're a different personality, different upbringing, different culture, different all kinds of things.
We got different strokes for different folks.
I mean, yeah, and it doesn't matter, what skin color you are. You can have 5 white people in the room, 5 black people. They're all different ways of doing things, different thought processes, belief systems, all kinds of stuff.
And there ain't nothing more exhausting than trying to pound a square peg through a round hole.
No, it ain't working. It ain't gonna work. So I say to sum all that up is make sure that I think people should make sure as they're working through those nuances of career and assignment and the changes and stuff, one, do everything that you do at the best of your ability, at the highest you
Whatever
can.
you're doing
Whatever
right
it is
now.
you're doing, be the master of that. So if you're sweeping floors, be the best floor sweeper in the industry that they like, man, we need to hire him. I mean, that type of person. And then as you develop, learn to apply the knowledge and the information that you've gained over the years to your next situation. That's how you get promoted. That's how you level up. And then as your career and your assignments start to become more defined, you'll realize that your career is just a part of your assignment.
Yes.
It's not separate from it, it's a part of it, but it's helping you get to what you really were ultimately designed for.
Absolutely. That's powerful. Last question. How do I know if I'm doing the right thing in the right place with the right people at the right time? How do I know it's right?
For me, it's been
right now for you.
For me,
how do you know this is the right place, the right time, doing the right thing with the right people?
There's turbulence, but I see the end.
Okay.
So I understand that there's challenges, there's moves, there's things that are happening. You know, there may be new things happening. But there's a level of peace in that turbulent time of that. Because anytime you're transitioning, you have to look at it like birth.
Oh, pain.
The transition period when a woman is giving birth, that's the most crucial part of the entire pregnancy.
That's the make or break.
It's right there. The mother could die, the child could die.
Yes.
They both could die in transition. So the breathing and the things that doctors are telling you, the nurses, the midwives, that's all important to make it through transition so that now the baby can come into the world.
Right.
So for us as individuals, you're going to go through difficult times as you transition in life. And I think the important thing is that if you have peace and understanding that. So when my wife was going through transition with even our last child, the peace factor came when I told her, I said, babe, we're almost there.
Right.
We're
If you can
almost
see
there.
the light at the end of the tunnel.
Right, we're almost there. Someone's there can encourage. So I'm like, okay, we're just hold on, breathe a little bit deeper. Come on, let's get there, breathe, slow that breathing down. This is how we're doing it. And then that helped her relax so that she could ease through transition, and now the baby could come out naturally.
That's why it's so important whenever we start something, it's already finished. We've already seen the end in our mind before we even start a thing.
Yes.
Because we can see the light, the vision at the end of the tunnel.
Right.
And it keeps us on track, keeps us moving.
Yeah.
Ups, downs, sideways,
All
good,
of that.
bad, whatever.
Right.
We keep our eyes on the light of the tunnel.
Right.
The light at the end of the
Right.
tunnel.
So that peace will help navigate you through. Because anybody tells you when you shift, you go different places, there's not, and I'm not talking about, it could be financial, it could be emotional, it could be people.
Absolutely.
It could
Relationships.
be relationships. I mean, there can be turbulence, there's always gonna be turbulence somewhere. But as long as you have peace to understand that, hey, what I desire is on the other side of this, or what I'm in vein and in line with what I am skilled and gifted at, and these are the right people supposed to be around me, I'm in the right place, I'm kind of checking off the list.
Yeah.
This is clearly the time because everything lined up for
Right.
it.
Alignment.
So I'm like, okay, I'm here. So now you just have to go with the flow.
Yeah.
And
Go with the flow. The fruit
Don't
may
fight
not,
it.
Yeah, the fruit may not show up right away.
Right. Because what happens if you fight in transition?
You die, you fatigue, you can't shoot, you can't give birth. You run out of gas in the middle of the race.
Right. So as all of you are transitioning in those types of lives and different ebbs and flows of life, don't fight the turbulence. Right? And you'll know. I think inside we always know.
Right.
We always know I should have done that.
Right.
But it's always what they say, hindsight 20/20.
Right.
Don't get to the point where you didn't pull out when you should have. Because if you know that you're with the right folks, you know you're in the right place, you're doing the right thing. If something's off, you just have to, am I in the right time? You're just asking yourself the question: is this the right time?
Right season.
Or wait a minute, I'm in the right time. This is right people. This is the right place. But this is the right season of my life. This is the right people. It's the right thing. So you're kind of checking off those lists of going through and say, what is missing? Because if all 3 or 4 of those things aren't there, then you know you're missing something. Then it's like, I need to pause and wait and see, okay, what's the next thing I should do?
Wow.
So
Awesome. This one thing I know.
what's that?
I am a multifaceted work in progress.
Oh, we all are.
And the more I know,
Yeah.
the more I realize how much I don't know.
Absolutely.
the more I do, the more I realize how much more there is for me to do.
Right.
So thanks for sharing with us. Appreciate you. Love you.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it. Love you
We'll
too,
see you
bro.
next time. We'll have you
man.
back.
All right. Sounds good.